Have you ever thought that you know exactly what to do, but yet you are still not doing it? That's because you are on information overload. Most of us go from video to video, from podcast to podcast, from this post to that post, hoping that this one will be the one. And while we are searching and we are going from here and there, we are never taking any of the information and applying it to our life. But what if you stop looking for answers in all the right places and start applying what you already know? Imagine the progress that you can make. Just think about it. Think about all of the information you have, all of the videos you've watched, the podcasts you've listened to, and every time you listen to one, you say, that sounds good. That sounds right. That sounds like something that I could do, but you never get around to doing it. Imagine if you use just a little bit of that information, if you just take one thing from everything that you're consuming, from each piece of content that you are consuming, imagine what your life would look like. Imagine the changes that you could make in your life. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to apply the things that you have learned to get what you want. Yes, it's time to apply what you have learned. So let's get right into it. We got to get out of this vicious cycle of consuming and start creating. Most of us have this habit, me included. I can sit and watch videos for hours. YouTube is my thing. YouTube is where I get a lot of my information. And so I can sit for hours and watch video after video, but never applying any of the information that I have received. And it makes me feel productive. But at the end of the day, it causes more confusion, more overwhelm, because by the time you think about what you're supposed to do, you can't remember the information that you got from this place or from this person or that person, because you never took the time to apply after you consume the information. So by the time you decide to do something, you've forgotten what you've learned. You've forgotten. Just think about when you were in school. You would go over a chapter in class during the week, and by the end of the week, you will go ahead and apply what you've learned. And maybe the teacher would do a review with you the day before. Or maybe sometimes they'll give you a little grace and do a review before the test that morning, so that it can be fresh on your mind. So it's the same thing that applies with our life. When we get new information that we know we can use, it's important that we go ahead and use it. Because the real growth happens when you take that knowledge that you already have and put it to use. In other words, you already have what you need to get started. There's power in you taking action. That's where the real progress happens. No matter how small the step, if you just get started and you take the action, you can make great progress. There's a scripture that says we got to be doers of the word and not hearers of the word only. So just apply that to your life. You can't be just a consumer. Not if you expect to change your life. You can't be just a consumer. You got to be a doer. You got to go out and put it into action. Because when we just sit back and we consume and we listen to information, we are deceiving ourselves again, because we think that we are being productive, but at the same time, we are going nowhere. And what happens when you are learning a lot, it tends to lead to more procrastination, because feeling like you are productive is just procrastination in disguise. And then also, when we sit back and we consume a lot, we tend to feel safer because we don't have to put ourselves out there. You think to yourself, well, I have all this knowledge. I know all of these things, but you don't have to be vulnerable. You don't have to put yourself on Front Street. You don't have to show your work. So it's an illusion. It makes you feel safe to get all the information. So start with what you already know and stop looking for that perfect solution. You may have already come across that perfect solution, but you would never know it because you haven't put it into action. So Start where you are. Start with what you already know. You already know enough. Yes. Along the way, you may have to pick up new information to take you to the next level, but you already know enough. And don't overcomplicate it. Don't overcomplicate this step. Don't make it overwhelming. Make it easy. Take one step. Take one piece of information that you've learned and apply it to your life. Make it easy, because if you don't make it easy, you will not stick to it. So make it easy. Make it something that's approachable, more approachable. Don't be intimidated by the next step you need to take. Make it easy so you'll stick to it. And what happens with that, when you take these small incremental steps, you gain momentum. You start to see your power. You start to see the progress. You start to see how those small steps add up and how they can make a big difference and a big change in your life. So these practical steps and tips that I have just given you, start with where you are, start with what you know, and take those things that you already know and put them into action. Use something. Take one something from that video or from this video. Take one something from this video and put it into action and watch and see how your life changes. Watch and see how you feel. But this time, the feeling will not just be a feeling of being productive. You will actually be able to see you putting what you've learned into action, and you will see the fruits of your labor. So no matter how small, just take that first step in applying what you've learned, and you will see the change in your life. That's all I wanted. I'm Tanya. Have an amazing day, and we'll talk soon.